Hey everyone, so today I want to review the Sony stereo system. I've had this system in for a couple of months now, and I've gotten very good performance out of it. I installed it in, this is a Ford Econoline 2002, and it is the Traveler's Edition. In other words, it has the VHS player and DVD player. We'll get to kind of why that's important later, but for the time being, as far as whether or not this is a good unit to buy, in short, yeah, I'd say it's a good unit to buy. The audio quality is very good on this unit, and although it doesn't push a lot of high wattage like some of the other units in its competition, you still get a very decently loud stereo that sounds very good. Now, this is not using stock speakers. The speakers have been replaced with kicker speakers, the ones that are, I think if I remember correctly, they're rated to 200 peak watts. Now, Kicker recommends running a unit that runs about an average of 75 watts. However, this stereo system doesn't push out even 75 watts. It has subwoofer connections in it, so you can put up, it'll push out 55 watts to the subwoofers if you set up some subwoofers. I don't have any subwoofers installed. I just am using the 6 Kicker speakers that I put in this van, and those speakers sound perfectly great with this stereo. Now, the stereo itself, as far as functionality, we'll get into that. You have your radio. Now, I'm using the stock antenna, and it's pretty loud. The stock antenna works perfectly fine with this unit. The original stereo I had in this van, the stock Ford stereo, was pretty good, but it was definitely lacking, especially as it aged, and I noticed that I could not pick up a lot of radio stations with it. Compared to a lot of the newer vehicles people are driving nowadays, I'm like, man, I only have like maybe 7 to 10 stations to choose from, and other vehicles seem like they're getting like 20 radio stations. Whenever I upgraded to this unit, all of a sudden I started picking up those radio stations that I could never pick up before. And radio stations sounded very, very good as far as the quality. And I didn't change out the antenna or the wiring. Now, when you're installing this, a lot of people say that you have to get an extension for your antenna. I didn't have to get, I bought an extension because that's what I was told, and then I realized I didn't even need to buy that extension because my stock wire was long enough. Apparently that's a problem though with a lot of Econolines. They have very, very short wires, so you have to buy an extension just to be able to plug your antenna in. I didn't have that issue though. Right now this unit is just being held in with foam going all around, and then there's foam in the back. Yeah, I know it's a little weird, but I didn't want to go out and buy the proper brackets to install this. I now have, so I'm going to install it properly now. But it's actually very, very secure. I mean, I'm pushing pretty hard on it, and it doesn't move at all. And it's literally held in just by foam. So I'm very surprised about that. But hey, it works. And I've had it in here for quite a few months now. As far as the audio quality, and the phone can only pick up quality up to, you know, a certain point, but I'll just give you a little demonstration. Well, it gets very loud. The highest I've really ever wanted to take in it is 20, and generally that's way too loud. The highest I really actually have it running, if I really want to listen to loud music, is going to be at 16 to 17. It maxes out at 50, and the really great thing about this unit is that it has the little volume dial that I just love being able to roll the volume up and roll it back down again. I don't like touchscreen buttons. So you have a home button. This is actually a button too. It'll take you to a menu where you can switch between your radio, your Bluetooth, your Aux Cord, or just off. So if you want to shut this thing off completely, off. Or let's say you just want the display off. You can just turn off the display, tap it again, and display comes right back up. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can jump to your equalizer if you want to. You can go back, you kind of use this as a back button as well, and then you have the Sony Extra Bass feature. Sorry for the camera quality there. It's getting dark, and I think it's just camera struggling. It might help. So the Extra Bass feature works very, very well. It's the Sony's Extra Bass feature that they have used in a lot of their other products before. I leave it on 2. You have your home button here. So let's just go and just click source off, because right now it's actually playing the radio. Alright, so now it's in its default home mode. When you first turn on your vehicle, this is what you'll get. One of the really nice things about this stereo is the quality of the the music you're listening to. It just sounds really good. Even with Bluetooth, it uses the high ACC format, not just your standard Bluetooth format that a lot of headphones are at. So if you're using a device that can support that, I'm using a Sony XAVV10BT smartphone connected to the Sony stereo, and it bumps up the quality. It's very, very high, very, very nice. You have Sirius XM. I don't have the antenna, so I didn't really care to, and you have to subscribe to it. I didn't really care to do that. You have your phone, so you can click it, and it works basically like any other stereo. You can have a dial pad, you can dial numbers, go to your recent calls, go to your contact list. You have your favorites menu. So it's basically as you would expect. Now, the only issue I've had with the phone is, like, if I'm receiving a call, the screen goes into your receiving call mode and gives you the answer or reject, tells you who's calling. If I click answer, talk with the person, it's just fine. Here's where the little microphone is, and as far as audio quality of the microphone, people say it is fantastic. I can have the fans on full. I can be driving down the highway, and people say they can hear me perfectly fine. The only thing they hear is whenever I change gears, because, well, the microphone's sitting right on the column shifter. Now, you don't have to put the microphone on the column shifter. You can put it on whatever else you want to. It just, for this van, it worked really well to just route the wire from the unit behind this plastic trim, and then it pops out right here and just goes right there. Haven't had a problem with it. It's been a very, very nice, very discreet looking setup too. I did not want to have a bunch of wires everywhere. So I really like the fact that with these Ford Econolines, you can easily remove this trim piece and access your stereo. When you go to remove your stereo, they always say, oh, you need that special tool to stick in the stereo so you can remove it. You do not need that. All you need is a flathead screwdriver and look under your stereo, figure out how it works. It's very simple. You basically push in a clamp on either side and the unit comes out. It's hard to do. You have to have a pretty good amount of thumb strength to do that, because those clamps are actually very hard to push in. But once you push them in, a flathead screwdriver will help with that. You don't need a special tool. It just the unit pops right out, and you can buy brackets from like Best Buy to install the unit properly where it fits secure, or you get creative with enough foam, and that works too. Kind of do how you may. But as far as, so we've talked about all that. Now, USB, you have the little USB if you wish to have USB. I honestly don't know who carries their music around on a thumb drive anymore, but if that's you, then hey, knock yourself out. Now, that'll charge your phone too, but it only charges it at, I think, 5 watts, so you're better off just buying a 2-watt charger and just charging your phone regularly. But it's nice that you have that option. And then you have your Aux Cord. Now, Aux Cord generally always has better audio quality than Bluetooth, so if you want to use the Aux Cord, it's available to you. However, I found out that because it boosts up the Bluetooth quality using a higher codec, I don't need the Aux Cord versus the old system I had. I have a different Bluetooth stereo system, and I found that the Aux Cord sounds much better than Bluetooth, but it uses a lower quality Bluetooth format. So, as far as the display, let's go into settings here. You have this the different menu here, general, sound, visual, and Bluetooth. One of the great things about this stereo is not only do you have the customizable wallpapers, don't really have a lot of options, but the options that they have are pretty good. So I like to leave it on green because the vehicle's painted green. It just goes with the theme. But this is a great feature, the dimmer. Now you can turn it off, okay? So when I turn on and off the headlights, the stereo is on full brightness. Or you can turn it on auto, which means that when I turn the headlights off, it brightens back up. And when I turn the lights back on again, it dims back down. You can customize just how much you want it to brighten up or dim down. And that is the really great thing about this unit, is that you have that customizability with it. Because if you live in a city environment, you might want it to be pretty bright. Or if you're driving around with your headlights on during the day, you probably want it on max brightness. So in that case, you just turn this off. Or let's say you're driving down a dark country road. You do not want a really bright display ruining your night vision. You want it to be very dim, and you can control just how dim it gets in auto mode, or you can leave it always on dim, whatever you want. So that's a really, really nice feature, and I apologize for the fact that this phone is just not doing a good job in these dark conditions with recording. the video, but man, it is just not clear. Sorry about that. And then you have your touch panel adjust. I think that's if you're having issues with the touchscreen. This touchscreen only registers one touch. It's not like your phone screen where if you touch it with 2 fingers, it understands 2 fingers are touching it. It is, I believe it's called a capacitive display. So basically, if I'm wearing gloves, I can still operate the screen. If I'm using an object, well, here's the remote, it still works. It just responds to touch. It does not respond to specifically a skin or stylus. So if you're using gloves, you can use this perfectly fine. And I love that feature. A lot of displays are not like this, so if you're using gloves, it won't work. You have to have those special gloves that work with touchscreens. This, you can use in any object you want, and it will just work. Now in your general, you have your kind of standard set time and date, whether or not you want it to beep. If you add a camera and wire it to the stereo, then when you put it in reverse, it'll turn on the backup camera, give you a backup camera. I didn't go through all the trouble of doing that, but you can if that's what you want to do. And in a full-size van, that might actually be a good idea. And then you can update the firmware if you know how to do that. I think you have to have a USB device to do that. Basically, put the firmware on the USB and plug it in, and then it can update. I have not updated it. I had no need to. And then your clock, whether or not you want that on or off. Just your simple settings there. And then into sound. Now, this is kind of what everyone wants to know about. The sound. What all do you have as far as customizability? Well, you can customize your how much subwoofer you want or don't want. You can adjust your equalizer, your balance and fade, your crossover, as far as also whether or not you need to reverse your subwoofer phase or leave it on normal, a high filter, a low filter. Then they have the DSO, which is kind of like HDR for pictures, but it's like HDR for sound. I leave it on off. I don't even need it. It sounds perfectly fine without it even being turned on. If I turn it on, it actually sounds a little bit worse. And then it won't allow me to go to the equalizer because I'm not actually playing anything. So let's go back to radio, just leave the volume off. And then go back. Go to sound. Here we are. So this is the profile I've set up. You can switch through different ones. They have some pre-existing profiles set up, or you can tune it and just customize it to however you want. And then you can adjust just how much subwoofer you want as well. I have it on off because I don't have subwoofers connected, but if you have subwoofers, then you can adjust all of that. And I love the customizability that this unit has to offer, and the fact that it's only like $200 off Amazon. This does not cost a lot. And yet it sounds very good, gives you a lot of functionality, and it gives you, I just love being able to adjust the volume by rolling it up and down. I hate the touchscreen buttons, or maybe even a physical button where you have to tap it multiple times just to lower the volume. I don't like that. I just want immediately on and then immediately off. So I just love having that capability. And if I need to jump to home, I don't have to go through all the back arrows. I can just click the home button. Boom, I'm at my home screen now. And if I need to jump to whatever I am playing, I can just click up here and it'll take me to whatever I'm playing, whether I'm listening to Bluetooth or radio or Sirius, Sirius XM, however you pronounce that. But I don't really need that. Unfortunately, you cannot move these little buttons around because I'd like to be able to take off the satellite radio. I don't use it. And again, thing with the Bluetooth, I don't use it. I'd rather just have my radio, Bluetooth audio, phone, and settings. That's really all I use. You have the clock, which is always on. When you go into, like, let's say I go to Bluetooth, right now it's not going to play anything because my phone is, actually, that's the video I'm recording right now. That's what I can play. That's kind of funny. But if that wasn't there, if I wasn't recording a video with my phone, it would, and let's say I'm just using my Spotify, it will show the title, the album name, the song, and how far through the song. You have your play, your skip forward, your skip back, and then you have this minus folder and plus folder. Those don't do anything with Spotify. Maybe with the native Sony Music app that actually does something, like maybe to add it to a playlist or take it away from a playlist. I don't know. I don't use the stock Sony app to listen to music. I use Spotify, and with Spotify, these buttons have no functionality to them. But the play, the skip forward, the skip back, that works totally fine. So that's basically, and then you get your Bluetooth on and off, device info, and reset your Bluetooth settings if you have issues. And that's basically it. It's very, very simple, very nice display, very elegant design. I like the fact that I can customize the wallpaper and make it look kind of however I want to, as far as, you know, the brightness of it, and also the color scheme. I think the green color scheme, especially at nighttime, it's very easy on your eyes. So I especially like that. Right now it's it's still pretty bright outside, but it's pretty dark inside, and you know, the green matches with Ford's stock green theme that they have going on with the lights. Now, as far as upgrading your speakers and the stereo, let's say you're wanting to push, that's 200 watts to all your speakers. So you buy these high-end speakers. Realize that the rear speakers, this vehicle has 6 speakers. The rear speakers have to have an amplifier, because the stock Ford stereo was made for 4 speakers. But this thing has 6 speakers, so what can we do about it? Well, the sound on this stereo, it'll give designated your right speaker for the front, the left speaker, and then a right speaker for the rear and the left speaker for the rear. That confused me at first, because I'm like, I have 4 speakers in the rear, but yet this stereo only gives me enough wiring for 2. So what do I do about that? Well, later I learned that Ford has already pre-wired this van to work for stereo systems that only give out 4 speakers worth of sound. I'm not sure that's probably how you're supposed to say that, but basically there's connections for only up to 4 speakers with this stereo. However, that's okay. You don't need anything more. Ford automatically includes an amplifier, so they take the sound that goes to the left and right rear speaker, and then they run it through an amplifier that's in the back of this is the VHS player. In the back of this unit, right back there, there is an amplifier that takes that the sound that goes to just 2 speakers, boosts it up to where it goes to all 4 speakers, and increases the wattage so that the rear speakers sound just as loud as the front speakers. So that is a very clever thing Ford did. That way they didn't have to do a whole bunch of wiring for the E-Series vans that had 6 speakers as opposed to ones that have 4 speakers or just 2 speakers, because a lot of vans, especially your cargo vans, they have the front, you know, driver's side and then the front passenger side, and that's it. They only have 2 speakers, especially if you have like a box van where you only have this cabin part and you don't have the rest of it is van. It's just, you know, the cargo box, so you don't need wiring for, you know, a stereo that can push out 6 speakers worth of wiring in it. This one just has 4, and Ford automatically made it to where the rear speakers have their own designated amplifier. If you are wanting to upgrade the power, you know, again, this is 15 watts. Let's say you want to, the stock stereo was 25 watts, although this just sounds louder than the stock stereo, so I'm not sure exactly how that works. But this thing gets incredibly loud. The loudest I ever take it to is maybe up to 40% of its full capability. Because anything louder than that, you're just going to hurt your ears. But if you are wanting to upgrade your wattage, realize that you're going to have to take out the stock amplifier for the rear, which again is in the back of this unit, and you're going to have to upgrade that amplifier, or rewire everything entirely to a single amplifier if that's what you want to do. But that's going to be very, very difficult. It's possible, but very difficult. If you're just wanting to upgrade your stereo at home, there's other videos online about how to do that. Long and short of it, you have to cut out, there's a plastic piece behind here that you're going to have to take a Dremel and just cut. Once you cut that off, you're good to go. It'll just slide in place. Buy the wireless adapter and then hook all your wires together, whether you want to solder them together, whether you want to splice them, or just whatever you want to do, figure it out, make it work. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to do. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube that shows you how to get this job done. But I just wanted to give you a good review of this stereo. Hopefully this helps out your buying decision. I personally love this stereo for its simplicity and the fact that it sounds really good. I love the sound that this stereo has. It's so much better than the stock. It's actually a lot better than like some of the Pioneer and other brands out there that offer stereos in similar price range. I think this is better. And some people, they give Sony grief about the fact that their display looks dated. You know, it's not a very new, fresh look. It's very simple. Your buttons down here and your clock, and that's all you have. You got a little bit up here, but that's it. It's not like there's all flashing lights. It doesn't have RGB lighting or anything crazy. It's just simple, and it just works really well. And knowing Sony, which they generally like to make a high quality product, I imagine this thing will last for many years. So far it's held up perfectly fine. The couple months I have used it, the summer heat, the winter cold, haven't had a problem. The only issue I had is if I try to call from my phone, like I pick up my phone, I dial a number and I call, the Bluetooth randomly disconnects and then it reconnects. And sometimes it'll stay connected, other times it will completely disconnect. I'll have to answer the call or talk using my phone, and then when I'm done with the call, all of a sudden it magically reconnects. However, if I receive a call, I don't have that issue. I do not know if that's my phone's issue or if that's the stereo's issue, and maybe if I update the firmware, maybe that issue will go away. I don't know. That's the only really issue I've had with this, is it can be a little gimmicky as far as if I send out a call from my phone while connected to Bluetooth, then it can have some issues. But if I just go into the phone's menu, send out a call, or if I receive a call and answer it from here, I don't have that issue. Another minor issue I have is going to be right up here, and you can't see it very well because of the quality, but there's the little battery, and then there's your little signal strength for your cell phone reception. That signal strength for the cell phone reception always shows it being very low. In reality, I have like 4 out of 5 bars right now. It says I have 1 of 4, so that's inaccurate. The battery, it says I have 2 out of 4 bars. In reality, right now, I have like 80% battery, so it should at least say 3. And it only says 2. Don't know why that's inaccurate, but especially because it's a Sony phone talking to a Sony stereo, you'd think it'd be very accurate. For whatever reason, it's not. It doesn't really bother me though, because if I want to know how much battery I have in my phone, I can just look at my phone. It's not like it's the end of the world. But I wish it still was accurate, even though it's not. So that's basically the end of this video. I can't think of anything else to talk about this stereo. Except for, does it have the 24-hour time, or is it always, see, date format? Okay, so you can change the date format if you so choose, and you can change your time to 12-hour or 24-hour time format. So that's actually pretty cool. And the beeping, if you want it to beep. I personally don't want it to beep, so I leave it off. Alright, well that's the end of this video. If you have any questions about this unit, feel free to put it down in the comments, and I will try to answer it to the best of my ability if I can get to the comments. I get a variety of different comments from different videos too, and just other things that occupy my time, so I might not be able to get back to you very quickly, but I'll try to get back to you. Also, it does come with a remote. The remote works well enough that I can open the back doors. Let's say I have the unit running and I open the back doors all the way, just having the radio on, this remote will work from the very back. It has good range to it. You have your standard stereo remote features. You basically can do anything you want to with the remote, so that's pretty cool. I rarely ever use it unless I am listening to music from the stereo and I'm outside and I have the back doors open. That's really the only time I ever use this thing. But if maybe you're into construction, or you just frequently are outside your vehicle and you want your vehicle to basically be a travelable boombox, then yeah, you open up the rear doors all the way, crank the stereo up, and there you go. You have a portable speaker, albeit a 6,000-pound portable speaker. And you can also, as I said before, wire it up to where you put in reverse. If you wire a camera to it, it'll display the camera. So that's pretty cool right there. Alright, that's the end of this video. Again, if you have any questions, drop it down in the comments, and have a great day.